Let's head back to the All Valley Tournament. Let's get into it. Welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all doing well out there. And today we're going back to the dojo for Karate Kid Part 3. But before we get into it, like, comment, subscribe. Join me here. I really would appreciate that. Click on the little notification bell. That way, every time I upload a video, you'll get notified. You can come on back and see what the hell I got going on over here. Now on to the Karate Kid Part 3. This movie came out June 30th of 1989, so 3 years after the huge success of the second one. It's PG like the other two films. It's an hour and 52 minutes long, had a budget of $12.5 million, and upon release that summer, it made $38.9, so this was the lowest grossing and a huge dip in box office compared to the first two films. Now, John G. Avildsen came back to direct this film as he did the other two films in this franchise. And the same writer came back, Robert Mark Kamen came back and wrote this film as well, although this film changed dramatically compared to how he originally envisioned this film. Ralph Macchio was back as Daniel, Pat Morita was back as Mr. Miyagi, we got Robin Lively this time as Jessica, the would-be love interest, although they end up just being friends and there's a reason for that, and we'll talk about that. Thomas Ian Griffith in his film debut. This is his first film role, and he plays Terry Silver, that character they just brought back on the latest season of Cobra Kai. And Martin Kove was back as Kreese. He was supposed to have a bigger role originally. That's why they came up with the Terry Silver character. He's in the film, but he's only in the beginning of the film, and then he's at the end of the film. And they start off in this film. We get another recap of the first film, and we see what happens between Mr. Miyagi and Martin Kove's character, Kreese. And then we're into our new story. We see Kreese fall into depression, his dojo, he has no students, and we don't see Johnny at all except for in the flashback. Although Johnny was originally supposed to come back. William Zabka was originally supposed to come back, but something happened. Either he wasn't able to come back or they decided to go in another direction. So they created the Mike Barnes character that is the main bad kid villain in this film, opposite of Daniel. And Kreese goes to see his good friend Terry Silver. We come to find out they started to nom together, and Kreese saved his life many times while in battle, which we got to see that fleshed out even more in Cobra Kai. And Terry Silver sends him away to Fiji on a vacation to get his head right, and he takes over the revenge plot to get back at Mr. Miyagi and Daniel. I mean, these guys really have a hard-on for Danielson and Mr. Miyagi at this point. Unhealthy, very unhealthy, unnatural hatred and want revenge, but that's the path this movie takes. This movie's a lot like the first film, although I will say Mike Barnes is more evil than Johnny ever was, for sure, and Terry Silver, although I love Thomas Ian Griffith here, and he is a welcome addition to this franchise. He chews the shit out of the scenery, and he's fantastic, and he's a martial artist in real life, so he could do the things that he was asked to do in this film. And basically, Terry Silver takes over the Cobra Kai dojo, but he's manipulating Daniel. He acts friendly at first. He brings his Mike Barnes in and makes a deal with him that he wants him to challenge Daniel to the fight in the All Valley Tournament this year. And he wants him to kick his ass and get his title, and he'll cut him in on the new business dealings with the new Cobra Kai dojos. So that's basically the main thrust of this film. And Daniel's supposed to be going off to college. He doesn't want to, so he decides to go into business with Mr. Miyagi selling bonsai trees, and he even finds the location. And this is where he meets Jessica. She's working with a relative of hers. She's from Columbus, Ohio, making pottery right across the street. That's how Daniel meets her. And she hangs around for a while. They become friends. At first, you think they're going to become romantic. And that was originally the idea in the script, that they were going to become a romantic thing, because in each film, Daniel had a romantic interest. But the problem was Ralph Macchio was 27 at the time and Robin Lively was only 16. Ralph Macchio did not feel comfortable with that at all, even though it's a film set. So they changed it to their relationship's much more platonic than romantic. And that's the way it stays throughout the film. And pretty much Terry Silver takes Daniel because Mr. Miyagi does not want to train him for another tournament. He tries to make Daniel realize that it's not important. You shouldn't have to want to defend your title at this point. Let's just let it go and get on with our lives. But Daniel won't let it go. And he goes to Terry Silver for training, and Terry puts him through the ringer. And then finally, Daniel starts acting out against Mr. Miyagi, like treating him pretty unfairly considering what Mr. Miyagi has done for him. Daniel's attitude in this one is a total 180 compared to the first two films. It's one of the drawbacks of this film for me, honestly, his complete lack of respect for Mr. Miyagi at this point. And then eventually Mr. Miyagi catches on what's going on, and we get our final fight at the All Valley tournament between Mike Barnes and Daniel. And of course, Daniel wins, and we get the instant ending as soon as the match is over, and that is the Karate Kid Part 3. What's it like about this film? Well, Mr. Miyagi, Pat Morita's great as Mr. Miyagi. I think Thomas Ian Griffith is great as Terry Silver. The Mike Barnes character is a nice addition, although he's certainly way more evil than Johnny ever was in the first film. I mean, this guy's a literal hothead scumbag. I mean, they're literally put Daniel and Robin or Jessica in danger just to F with them at one point during the film. They're down in this, tide's coming in, and Daniel wanted to go down and get this tree, this bonsai tree from Mr. Miyagi. He'd sell it for money because he's out of money. And they take the ropes up while the water's coming in. It's like, you're going to risk their lives over a freaking stupid karate tournament? That's how insane this plot is. So yeah, the Mike Barnes character and the Terry Silver character are definitely chewing the shit out of the scenery. And they're fantastic doing it. But it's definitely way more heightened than the other two films. And, you know, the last fight at the karate tournament is all fine and good. It's enjoyable to watch. I don't like Ralph Macchio and Daniel's whole attitude towards Mr. Miyagi. It's a turnoff, honestly, considering what Mr. Miyagi and what they've been through together through the first two films. And for Daniel's attitude just to switch like that at this point, for what they've been through, and to treat Mr. Miyagi with such disrespect and his attitude, and he's kind of lying and being going behind Mr. Miyagi's back. It's kind of frustrating to watch this film. It's been a while since I've seen this one. This is probably the one I haven't seen in the longest amount of time. But it's still an enjoyable film. I think, you know, the addition of Thomas Ian Griffith, that character helps a lot because he's so entertainingly such a scumbag and such a manipulator. And Martin Kovac is welcome. He was supposed to have a bigger role, but he was filming a different project this time, so they used him sparingly in the movie. And that's why they came up with the Terry Silver character, because they knew if Kreese isn't around, we'd have to have another main bad guy. And Mike Barnes was created because Johnny wasn't coming back. So that's why those were made up out of necessity, honestly, just to have a villain. But I think it works out, and I'm glad Terry Silver is back in Cobra Kai. He plays a fantastic role in that film. Overall, this is definitely a step down in quality from the first two films. And this was the last Karate Kid movie we got until '94, when they made the next Karate Kid with Pat Morita and Hilary Swank, which I will be reviewing that next week too, along with Blade 2 and Blade Trinity. You can still have some fun with this. Yes, the bad guys are way over the top, way more over the top than the first two films, and they're chewing the shit out of the scenery. But I still had fun with it. I mean, it's definitely not the best. It's compared to the first two, it's still nowhere near as good. But I would give this one a 7 out of 10. It's fine. It's not awful. It's not a piece of shit. It's a fun, over the top Karate Kid film with still some of our favorite characters and some new ones that are pretty cool. So yeah, 7 out of 10 for the Karate Kid Part 3. What are your thoughts on this film? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, share. Just really would appreciate that. I'll be back next week with the next Karate Kid and Blade 2 and Blade Trinity. But until then, I hope you all have a great weekend, and bye.